Hey folks, my guest today is Antti Kansala. He has over 15 years of experience in startups from engineering to CEO. A father and a keen outdoors person by heart, he's always on a quest to improve the impossible and get shit done quickly. He's now building Yeply, which is bike maintenance in your neighborhood. Antti, you ready to take us to the top?
Yes, sure.
Now, I assume you're using software for this. You're not running around to thousands of neighborhoods fixing bikes, are you?
Nope, 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 nope. That was like
How's,
way back in 2016 where we started our mission to change an industry. We knew that we had to have a very strong tech backbone to be able to
Mhm.
do this.
So
A
tell
tech
me about the
enabled.
tell me about the marketplace, right? So obviously people understand a homeowner breaks a bike, they need to pay to get their bike fixed. What about the other side? How do you get the bike fixers on the platform?
They're all, we employ them all. So it's all in-house. It's not your typical platform business. So what we do, we have the platform, but we also, what we want to do is we want to change a complete industry. We want to change the bike industry. We want to create a user experience that's something that they have not experienced ever before. And if we keep it in-house, then we're able to do that change. The minute we let go of that, we let go of last, the physical aspect of creating that
So how
superior
many?
customer
How many are in
experience.
house?
There's about 70 people, mechanics currently in house.
Seven
Yeah,
zero?
yeah.
Just bike fixers or the whole company?
Bike fixtures, there's about 60 of them.
Wow.
So
Okay.
all companies,
Okay.
probably
And
somewhere close to 80 at the moment.
got it. So 70 okay, 70, 75 on the team total. Tell
Yeah.
me more about sort of how you make money. Obviously, again, my bike is broken, and what geographies are you covering?
Currently, we're operating in Europe. So we started off in Finland, was probably the dumbest place to do bike maintenance, but it's a very good place to pilot stuff. Then we're operating in Germany, having nationwide coverage there, the Netherlands, and then Austria at the moment. Looking to open up the UK market still this year.
Okay. And how do the economics work? So how many bike fixes did you do last month?
It's about probably closer to 10,000, I would say, last month. So what we started off as a pure consumer brand, pure consumer uh, company. And then basically we have been adding B2B side to it along the way. So if you look at this Q-commerce, where first time in the history of mankind, these vast amounts of e-bikes were used for business critical applications. And then the importance of keeping those bikes running becomes. And then when we look at these bikes, the data that we're able to gather from these bikes that used to be mechanical appliances and then turning into connected electronic devices. So we're seeing a real change in the whole industry and what's going to happen. And if we look at it today, your first question was, where do we make money? What's the business there? Currently, it's bikes. We fix bikes. We maintain bikes. We keep those bikes running. That's
So
where we
Auntie,
make the
before
money.
we talk about the future, let's dive. I
Yeah.
want to dive deeper on that for a second. So what's the average bike fix? How much does it cost?
We do our average revenue per customer is about 100 euros, 110 euros, depending on the market
Okay, so
per
140
visit.
US dollars, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So I mean, can I take 10,000 bike fixes times 140 bucks? You did about 1.4 million in revenue last month.
We do that's on the consumer side. We do that about 110, 140. And then if we look at these fleets, then of course the per bike revenue is a much lower amount as we're seeing them more often in bigger amounts.
So what's the per bike? Like, I guess what was revenue last month total across 10,000 bike fixes?
That's probably somewhere around 300 to 400,000 last month.
Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now, imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time. You can see what it changed over the past 88 days and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your FounderPath dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right. So the teal is what a VC would pay, yellow is what private equity, and red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise, they sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of FounderPath, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. Wow. Okay. And so I guess a big chunk of that goes out to paying these 70 fixers, right? That you have spread out. What is that? 70%, 80% of the spend?
70%. You're pretty close to the cost structure there.
Yeah. Interesting. Got it. So just to be clear, that's about $280,000 a month paying out salaries to these 70 fixers. And so how do you keep, or I guess just to be clear, when we see like in Austin, Texas, I'll see sometimes trucks driving around and within the flatbed, they have got 100 scooters back there and it's like they're charging them or something. Is that you guys in Germany?
No, what we do is basically our operational model. It's a bit different. We're operating like a classical ice cream truck. So we go into a neighborhood and then we get people in that neighborhood to come to our truck. And that's where we get the efficiencies, the scalability of the model.
Oh, it's a moving thing. It's not a physical store.
It's not a physical store. It's moving on. Basically, one instance of it is a van. Another instance of it can be a trailer. Then we have these pop-up units. So depending on if we're going to a company to maintain their employee bikes, it might be a different kind of a unit. If we're going to a basement, it's a different kind of a unit. Going to a train station, it's a different kind of a unit.
Understood. So do you have to buy all these vans and trucks and flatbeds? They're sitting on your balance sheet as assets right now?
They're leased, so not sitting as assets.
Leased. Okay. That must be that must be your second biggest cost per month.
Yeah, that's probably the second biggest cost of the month, the actual service units. But then if we compare it to a traditional bike shop where you are looking at the cost of your venue.
Sure.
Is bigger than
how many service units are you leasing currently?
Currently it's probably somewhere around 25 at the moment.
So it's not a 1-to-1. You have 70 employees, but it's not a 1-to-1 ratio then.
No, because if we look at like when we are fully optimized, we should be having those service units running in 3 shifts, and then every single shift for 1 to 9. So it's running basically morning shifts, evening shifts, night shifts, and every single shift can have 1 to 3 Yeplers, as we call them.
How do you get coverage across all of Europe with just 25 leased units and 70 full-time employees?
If we look at the fleets, we are traveling. So we have our bases in the biggest cities. And then when we have fleet clients in other cities, we're doing traveling. So it's not the most efficient. And that's what we're actually doing now, is adding more and more physical presence to new cities, optimizing our operations.
Very interesting. And if you're doing about 400,000 a month today in revenue, what were you doing 1 year ago? Do you remember?
Probably Germany was 50. I would say 100, 150. Something like that.
And then what about the year before that in 2020? Probably low, right? No one was traveling because of COVID.
Yeah. That was an interesting year for us, 2020.
When did you launch the business?
2016 in Finland. So it was a lot of the first years. It was kind of bootstrapping it together, just fine tuning the concept. Me and Tommy, my co-founder, being there, like having our daily jobs in the evenings, going to the vans and fine tuning and just.
Did you guys split equity? Did you guys split equity 50-50 at the start?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. And are you still bootstrapped today, or did you raise capital?
We raised capital. Now we got Inventure, the guys behind Walt, for example. They joined us this February.
So how much did you raise?
That was 2.5.
And that was your seed. That's your first money in, right?
That's basically our seed round. We debated about like what do we call that round, but we decided it's a seed round.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing now is
most founders will sell between 15 and 20% of their business in the seed round. Is that about what you sold?
That's about right. Yeah.
Okay. So that would be like 8.5 or 8 pre-money, 10 post-money, something like that.
Yeah, a bit higher actually.
Okay.
We did some secondaries there as well. So
okay.
now they have about like that 50%.
What percent of the 2.5 million went out to secondaries?
No, that was purely primaries. So then on top of that, there was secondaries. And then after that, they have that percentage of about 15.
Okay, so how much total did you raise, including the money that went
including the
out?
secondaries? It was almost 3.5.
3 point. Okay, so explain it. This is I have to ask this question because it's the number one question I get. Early stage founders wanting to do secondaries. You're one of the earlier ones I've heard get that done. You did $1 million of secondary in your seed round at a 4.8 million run rate. How did you get that done?
That was basically to clean up our cap table. If we look at it back in 2017, for us to open up our German business to get money for that, we did crowdfunding. And now basically this was one way of giving back to those people that believed in our concept when kind of institutional investors, they didn't even look at bike industry from that perspective. So
it was. And how much did you raise crowdfunding?
We did one round with 300K, one round with $500,000.
Okay, so
about
800K total.
Crowdfunding. Yeah.
Across how many investors or crowdfunders?
It's about 300.
Got it. So the $1 million that you got in a secondary really went to buying out those first 300 people.
Not all of them. There was the ones that wanted to sell had the opportunity to sell. So I think about 50, 60 of them.
Were you personally and Tommy able to take any money off the table as founders or no?
No, we're putting more money in.
Okay. Interesting.
More commitment.
Fair enough. Okay. So you've raised 3.5 recently, 800K previously. So about 4.2 million, 4.3 million total.
Yeah. And then there's a couple of angels. There's a $500,000 from angels.
When was that?
On top of that. That was in 2018 or 19, somewhere along there.
Mm-hmm. And why did you need that capital from them?
This was basically, we did the first round we did was to open up our German business back in 2018. Then we did a second round in 2019 to expand in Germany. But basically the second crowdfunding round, it did not go as much into expansion as to kind of surviving through COVID. And at the same time, we of course expanded a little bit, but the plans were a little bit different than what actually happened. We ended up opening up 4 new cities, but it was a lot slower, a lot more.
Now you have 400,000 in monthly recurring revenue. 280,000 of that monthly is obviously headcount expense. But let's take out the headcount expense because you could say that's not pure SaaS. It's expensive, low margin.
Yeah.
Let's just look at your high margin, which is the 120,000 that's left. 120,000 obviously times 12. You're at about a 1.5 million run rate, right? You raised it something like a 10 to 11, 12x valuation multiple. Why so low? I mean, I see seed rounds in this stage raising at like 40, 50 million valuations. Did your fixed headcount expenses hurt you here?
I think that can be one thing. Kind of like, how are we seen? Are we seen as a maintenance company, or are we a tech company? And I think we landed, if we look at the valuation multiple, it was somewhere in between there, between those two.
How many engineers are on the team?
When we raised the round, we had a few, and now we're just building. If we look at our HQ team, now that's what we're building, pulling in.
How many today, though? How many full-time engineers?
Full-time engineers, probably somewhere 6, 7 at the moment.
6, 7.
Wrapping up then. Yeah.
Got it. So 70 are bike fixers spread out Europe. 6 are engineers. The rest are like admins, growth, marketing, sales.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So what's the plan? Or how do you scale this?
What we do is basically when we open up a new country, we start with our fleet business. So B2B operations. We go basically have a nationwide coverage. If we look at how we opened up the Netherlands back in last October, November, We started off with a nationwide coverage, so having few clients, big Q-commerce players whose bike fleets were taken care of nationwide, then building our organization and then opening up our consumer business city by city. So now, for example, in the Netherlands, we started the consumer business in Rotterdam now in March, and then looking to open up our next city during summer and so forth.
Very cool. Well, listen, we're rooting for you. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, now let's wrap up with the famous five. Number one, last book that you read.
Last book that I read. It was probably, I listened to books when we drive up north. It was probably one of these Finnish investigator stories. So nothing related to business, something to get my mind completely out from it.
Number two, is there a founder you're following or studying?
I really much enjoy talks with Felix Kroborg, one of the co-founders of Gorillas. He's also on our board and our mentor. So I really.
Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building Yeply?
My favorite tool, I think my newest favorite is probably Asana that I just got introduced to.
Number four, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I try to get something between 7 and 8.
Okay, that's good, Antti. And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married, 3 kids.
Three kids. I see two of them over your shoulder, right?
Yeah, one.
There's the third.
Yeah, and these pictures are like 10, 12 years old. So now they're already 16, turning 16, wow. Turning 14, and 11 this year.
How old are you?
I'm 41.
41. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20?
Not really. I've been trying to live my life so that I enjoy every single day. And I'm still happy living it like that. Worry about the things you can really impact.
Guys, there you have it. Yeply launched back in 2017 in Finland to help fix bikes. Now they're doing $400,000 a month in revenue. 280,000 of that goes out to headcount. 70 bike fixers spread all throughout Europe. They lease 20 pieces of movable equipment. Think of it like an ice cream truck, going around to cities, working with consumers and businesses to repair and fix their bikes. They did over 10,000 bike fixes last month. Just recently raised 3.5 million seed, selling 15 to 20% of the business there. $1 million of that was secondaries to early crowdfunding, which those crowdfunders put in $800K, but now looking to scale into new geographies. 80, 85 on the team total today. We'll see what happens next. Antti, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you, Nathan. It was a pleasure having me.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.